Welcome to Vedic mathematics class. Let us sit comfortably. We may have the text sheets in our hands. We can meditate, we can pray with the help of these sheets or with our eyes closed from the memorized text, from the imprints of the text in our brains. Let us begin. Vedic ganita sutrani prathana. Eka adhikena purven nikhlim navasta charmam dashata udharvatiryagabhyam pravartya yojet shunyam same samuche anurupe shunya anetam sankalan vyakalnabhyam पूर्णयापूर्णभ्याम चलनकलनाभ्याम यावदूनम व्यष्टि समिष्टि शेषंकेन चर्मेन सोपानन्त्यम दुमहमत्यम एकान्यूनेन पूर्वेण गुणित समुच्चय गुणक समुच्चय उपसूत्राणि अनुरूपेण शिष्यते शेष संज्ञा आदिमादेन अन्तेन केवले सप्तकम गुणयात वेष्टनम यावदूनम तावदूनि कृते वर्गम च योजेत अन्त्योरदस्के अपि अन्त्योरेव समुच्चय गुणिता लोपना स्थापनाभ्याम विलोकनम गुणित समुच्चय गुणक समुच्चय. Om Namah Shivaya. Today we are at the fourth step. Our first step has been acquaintance with the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now, during these previous three sessions, we have started developing our acquaintance, our friendship with this particular text. Then we had glimpse of how to approach the meanings of the Ganita Sutras, and for it we had taken the help of the description Vedic Ganit Sutrani. Here we had the source formulations Ved, Gan and Sutra. As a third step, we had exposed ourselves that Creator's space is having a transcendental origin. 5 space is playing the role of an origin of a 4 space, so we have to avail this space. Today we are at the another aspect, and this aspect in a way is a very crucial aspect, as here we are exposing ourselves to the integrated text. By integrated text means that Ganita Sutras 16 and Ganita Upsutra 13 are not only the distinct domains, but that these pair of domains get integrated. This integration is there as 2 space is playing the role of dimension of a 4 space. So 2 is 1 plus 2, and 1 is 1 multiplied by 2. So if we go from 1 to 2 and pose to ourselves what will be the next value, then some may look at 1 as 1 plus 1, and the next stage will be 1 plus 1 plus 1. So answer will be 3. It is correct answer. But is it that it is the only answer available here? Then let us pose to ourselves 1, 2 is what? It is double of 1. And the next stage would be double of this particular stage. So it will be taking us 1, 2, and the answer will take us to 4. Therefore, the sequencing, the progression, when is reached at, then we have to appreciate what the first entry is and how there is a reach from first entry to the second entry. So it is only in terms of that rule that we will be in a position to have a reach at the next step. So if we condition ourselves by taking it to be 1 and 1 more than 1 simply would mean a 1 plus 1, then naturally the next step would be 1 plus 1 plus 1. However, if we take 2 is nothing but a double of the first, then the next step would be double of this step. It is this feature which brings us face to face with the mathematical logic and mathematical intelligence with which Ganita Sutras want us to approach them. This approach would be that we have to go to the creator's space where 2 space is going to be the dimension. Instead of 1 space as a dimension, we'll have 2 space which has x-axis and y-axis. And within 2 space, we know we can have 1 and 2 both. As within a plane, we can have line and interval both. So this 2 inside is of different features than the outer 2. Before we have actual phase for reaching at this way of approaching these meanings, this interpretation and this working, let us pose to ourselves that when we have, say, bricks and we pose amongst themselves, then you see between the pair of bricks there will be the gaps, or these entities are giving us gaps. So when we have a sutra, first sutra, and we have a second sutra, there remains a gap in between, and this gap is bridged by upsutras. It is this scheme, method, design, technology, organization, arrangement, mathematics, which is to be comprehended well, that the Ganita upsutras are bridging the gaps between the sutras. Ekadhikeन purven and niklim navastacharmam dashata, when there is a jump from here to here, there remains a gap in between. And this gap is filled by first Ganita upsutra. As such, we have to organize the sutras and upsutras in such a way that gap between the sutras are bridged by upsutras. So Sutra 1 and Sutra 2 has a gap, and this gap is bridged by Ganita upsutra 1. Ganita Sutra 2 and 3 has a gap, and it is bridged by Ganita upsutra 3. Like that, where we have the first 7 steps. After the first 7 steps, we know when we will reach from 1 to 7, it would mean that we are having 7 geometries range of a 3 space. So this is the linear organization. So it is the upper limit of a 1 space constituting 3 space of 7 geometries range. So linear organization for integration, which is to be availed, is of the form and features, will help us bridge these 7 gaps up till Sutras 1 to 8. However, Sutra 8 and 9, see, both of them are of 16 letters each. We will come to it how value 16 has its role of covering of its own inherently as a reflection pairing. 2 raised to power 4 and 4 raised to power 2 as such is of equal values. So for the present, it be taken that the gap between Sutra 8 and 9 is filled of its own, of its inherent potentialities of a reach from value 7 to value 8, or reach from the organization of a cube as a one space body, one space order, to a creator's space, a four space of a two space in the role of a dimension. So one shall make a note that while we are reaching at an integrated format of the text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, and while we are availing Ganita Upsutras for bridging the gaps between the consecutive pair of Ganita Sutras, then we avail this only up till 7 steps, for the reason that the linear organization is taking us to hypercube 3 of 7 versions alone. And here we will again come to subsequently as to how the hypercircles 1 to 7 increase, and from hypercircle 8 onwards there is going to be a decrease. And then we'll again come to the feature, how is it that axioms, postulates, and the working steps, comprehension, glimpsing, imbibing, and chase of the modern mind as modern mathematics is held up. It is held up at phase and stage as to the situation created of sequential increase from hypercircles 1 to hypercircle 7. However, from hypercircle 8 onwards, there is going to be decrease if we follow the linear logic. Modern mind is so much held up at this phase and stage that it even is not in a position to know as to why this problem is occurring. It is not only that problem has occurred, but for the modern mind, because of its axioms, postulates, and working steps, it stands blocked, it stands cemented. This mental state gets conditioned state for the intelligence of the linear logic, which even does not permit the mind to glimpse as to why it is held up. We will be coming to it, and in fact the Vedic mathematics, the Vedic system, the Vedic way, Vedic approach, Vedic reach is the reach which will help the modern mind to transcend its limitations. All the knots, all the theories, all the topologies, and all attempts being made to wriggle out of it is going to be of no benefit to the modern mind, to the modern mathematics, only as the modern mind is not having a glimpse as that there is a limitation of a linear progression which is up till the rate, up the stage and of the reach of the 7 geometries of 3 space. It is the setup of a cube, it is setup of hypercube 3. To transit from hypercube 3 to hypercube 4 is the phase and stage for which we have to avail the integrated format of the text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, which, as we have seen, are fulfilling the gaps between Sutra 1 to Sutra 8, these 7 gaps in terms of Sutras 1 to 7. Then Sutra 8 and 9 have been so organized, so composed, so featured, so domained that it, because of its vertical reflection pairing of 2 raised per 4 is equal to 4 raised per 2, is having inbuilt transition. And this inbuilt transition is there because of 4 space having 5 space in the role of a origin. Then the subsequent phase gaps are to be filled by Upsutra 8 onwards. Now this is Sutras, Upsutras 8 onwards will take us only up till the gap of Ganita Sutra 14, and 15. But the 16th, the gap between 15th and 16th is not having a need for bridging because of any external help, because here the Ganita Sutra 15 as well as Ganita Sutra 16, each of them are also having 16 letters. It is at 5 stages: Ganita Sutra 1, Ganita Sutra 8 and 9, Ganita Sutra 15 and 16, which are of 16 letters compositions. We'll come to it, what is Panchvritya and how there will be cyclic things. Therefore, the lesson today is that our prayer, which is in the form of Ganita Sutras followed by Ganita upsutras, this is to be taken for the integration of the domain, so that the gaps between these consecutive sutras stand bridged by Ganita upsutras. As such, we will be having now a prayer in 3 forms. The first will be at the opening of the class, we shall be having a prayer. This prayer will be of 16 steps recitation of the 16 sutras, to be followed by 13 steps of 13 upsutras. But in the middle, there shall be a prayer of glimpsing the integrated domain of this arrangement, and at the end the prayer again is to be of the 16 sutras followed by 13 upsutras. It is called Trikal Sandhya, means there are 3 joints, and 3 joint points are the beginning, end, and at the middle. Now, the joint at the middle is of a feature of the transcendental origin. It is this feature of a joint at the middle which is called a Madhya Brahm, eternity at the middle. It is this eternity at the middle which is to be glimpsed and is to be imbibed by us by having a prayer in the midday of integrated format of the text of Ganita Sutras and upsutras. Let us see how this prayer is to sequentially unfold. It will be Ekadhikena Purven Anurupen Nikhlim Navasta Charmam Dashata Shishyate Shesha Sangya Udharvatiryagbhyam Adi Aden Antem Anten Pravartya Yojet Kevale Saptkam Gunyat Shunyam Same Samuchya Anurupe Shunye Anyat Yavdunam Tavdunam. This Shunyam and Anurupe Shunyam is having Vestanam. It is these folds around Shunyam, about vacuum, about volume, which is to play its role while we will be praying along the integrated format. Once we will jump here and will reach at Yavdunam, Tavdunam, Sankalan, Vyakalnabhyam, then it will follow of its own, and it is this which will give us a jump at 8th and 9th, and it is this jump which will give us a Phillips, and there will be a cyclic form. The sutras will be again formatted for their repeated unfolding, and this unfolding, as we know, is to be of 5 folds, which is called Panchvritya. It is 5 times that unfolding, sequential unfolding of the organization of the Ganita Sutra is going to be there. It is this availability of this organization format which really is our benefited values over and above the modern mathematics. Sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the Ganita Sutras mathematical domain and its processing steps shall adopt the technique of Trikal Sandhya, prayers at 3 times, at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. It is this Trikal Sandhya which of its own will become of 5 folds. So this 3 times prayer, when will become 5 times prayer, then it will complete the day and night cycling, ahoratra, day and night as a unit. It is this making of day and night as a unit which, with the transcendental origin, will be taking us to Sanvanstar, 5 years unit timeline. Unit of the timeline of 5 years means of 5 revolutions of the earth around the sun. This way, the organization format of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, with its reach at an organization format and its 5 folds, is going to provide us its ultimate reach. Therefore, now you all shall have a comfortable seats, pray for the middle day prayer, as at the end of the exercises of the sessions you will have the third prayer, the closing prayer of the session. Note down that you have to pray 3 times. You have to pray while you will be entering the Vedic mathematics class. You will have a prayer of integrated format while the first session of the Vedic mathematics class would be complete. And then the last prayer, the third prayer, the final prayer will be at the end of the second session of the class. Thank you very much.